One final point before I let you go. I was chatting to John Coleman a couple of weeks ago, and he's confirmed that he's going to step down from his position on the board alongside you as the owner's representative. I believe his tenure actually runs out in July, if I remember this correctly. Um, 2 points. First of all, how important is it that we have a good owner's representative? That with the best one in the world, I like John as a person, but I don't think he's really given it his full weight. And secondly, what is the commitment that's required to be an owner's representative on the Greyhound Board of Great Britain?
I think it's massive. It's absolutely massive. I definitely need somebody who's going to do the work and come to every meeting and put the time in. And it is a big commitment. If you're going to do it properly, it's a big commitment. People can't call John because there was an election last time. He put his name down. If people wanted something different, they should have put the name down themselves. It really winds me up when you hear people moaning all the time, etc., and they're shouting from different areas, and you think, well, there was an option there for you. Why didn't you put your name down? Well, I haven't got time to do it. Well, there you are then. Don't moan with what you've got if you're not willing to do something yourself.
We live in an industry of somebody should, don't we? Somebody should. Should. Yeah, but it won't be me. Yeah.
Yeah, but nobody. I mean, it's took so much time this has for me doing this job, etc. And the reason I took it on originally when I did is because I didn't think there was going to be anybody else. And I just thought we can't not have that representation. And I've not made many friends doing this job. I mean, I was told years ago I was going to be a puppet supposedly, etc. And fourth dear me, I tell you what, that's far from the truth, etc. But I don't want to cause trouble for anybody, etc. I just want the trainers to have a good voice out there and get our views across. Now, if I ever leave and people say to me, what did you bring to the party, Peter? What did you get, all this and that? And I'd have said, I'd probably never got anything. Even DQs were the big thing for me, and they're supposedly coming in, but they're still on the back burner somewhere, in the filing cabinet and back or beyond. But it's stopping what could have come in or getting our voice heard. That's, if anybody ever said to me what, I'd say I got our voice heard. For the little man, for the bigger man, I got our voice heard. And I think we need an owner out there who's willing to come to the meetings, etc., and get the owner's voice heard and get their point of view across. And they are one of the biggest stakeholders in this sport. And they need to have the voice heard, and they need to have it properly. And we need somebody who's decent, who gets their voice across in the right way. End of times I've had to bite my tongue, etc. And you do have to bite your tongue because some things you see you're not happy about, and you realise there's a way of working. It took me a hell of a long while to actually understand the way of working, and I sometimes still want to flip sometimes. And I'm so angry sometimes when I come out of meetings or whatever, and I have to go and have a sit down and chill out. And I know I've spoke to you a few times on the train when I've come back Floyd, and I'm thinking I'm not doing this anymore. I've had enough of this, etc. But it's
I've said to you, you've got to stick at it. You've got to stick at it, because if you walk away, then where do the owners and trainers stand? And then it is. I understand. At the end of the day, you can't go in and demand. You can go in and try and persuade. It is a committee. Everybody has an opinion. They don't all share your opinion. The one thing that I would like to see just a little bit more of from the board, and I think it's certainly better than it has been. It's certainly better under Mark Bird, and that's just the opportunity for people just to question or to challenge without being jumped on. How dare you discuss board business? How dare you have an opinion about anything? Because at the end of the day, you're there to represent your group. You're there to represent, and you're in a minority group. You're not like the promoters. They can pretty much do as they choose by the nature of the board. And I've had long chats before about,
I think that's one of the biggest things. What's really not upset me, but I found tough, is you can have the promoters sit on the board, and this isn't having to dig at the promoters before they start getting the backs up again, etc. But they will go back to their RCPA, all have a chat, discuss what they want going to happen at the board, etc. And I'm not saying board business is discussed, but what comes back sometimes, you can see that there has been some sort of chats, etc. yet me as a trainer, I can't discuss board business as in such because it's not supposed to be spoken out in public outside, etc.
Yeah.
And yet I've got trainers, etc., saying what's happening or they want this and want that. And, I can't get their representation from them or what their views are because I'm not allowed to discuss it, etc. Yet the board, the promoters are very close knit and it's a totally different beast to what trainers and owners are, etc. So it's tough working, really.
The only thing I would say, the only thing I would say against that, and I've lived through a lot of boards, BGRB previous, and seen, I don't know, probably about 10 or 12 different chairmen along the time and chief executives. I do think you'd have more chance with a current chairman and chief executive or managing director than you would have done in previous occasions to get your say. Because I think there were others, and I'm not going to name names, who were just basically bought and paid for. They were sitting in the positions on the basis that they didn't piss off the promoters. I think, as I said, I speak as you find, but I do think you've got in the current chairman and managing director, I think people who would walk if they felt.
Oh, I have a great relationship with Mark, and I've had some good chats with him. And if I'm down in the dumps, Mark will be the first one to say, and I say, "Come on, Peter, keep your chin up, keep battling away. We'll get there, etc." Like, so then, I think, oh yeah, we are all right. We will get there, etc. But Mark's hands are tied to a certain degree with certain things, and he probably has the same thoughts as me sometimes, and he's getting back on the train and coming back, and he's thinking, oh, why do I bother? And it's tough, and I like Mark. I like him as a person, and that's, you can work with somebody if you like them. It's sometimes you might think to yourself, I don't like these people, and whatever they do, you'll always pick holes in it, etc. Just because they're not your sort of person. But Mark is my sort of person, and I know if I'm really not happy about something, I can ring him, and we can have a right good chanter about it, and I might upset him with it and stuff, but he don't hold it against me, etc. And I like that. I like to be able to speak my mind. I know John Curran, when he was on the board, I like John as much as some people don't like John. I like him because you could have a right good set to and have a good ding dong, etc. But then, straight away afterwards, it's done and dusted. And that's how I've always been in my life. I like to get things out and over and done with, get it out of my system, tell somebody how you feel, what your issues are, not hold it and build it up and, say what your problems are, get it out in the open and deal with it. If you can't deal with it, well, you can't deal with it. But at least everyone knows where they are. And that's where I've always come from. So, but I would say the next owner, they've got to be social media savvy and everything. It's a different world. That's how you do contact people now and how they find out, etc. And, social media is a massive thing. And a lot of things I don't like about it, but it is this world nowadays. And so you've got to be social media savvy. And that's how you get your words out there and how you put out there what's happening, etc. So whoever does it, please be social media savvy and talk to your people.
Yeah, I think so. I've had this conversation with various people, even within the board, to say, you cannot just suppress debate. There are people in this industry in powerful positions who would or have tried to shut us up, or particularly shut me up, because they don't like what I've got to say. If they shut me up, then the subjects don't get dropped. They end up on the forums, and they end up with people being altogether less reasonable and giving them a chance to have a say. And I've said to various people who didn't like things that have appeared, that are even on these Zoom calls, if you've got a gripe with it, get stuck in. I have no problem. And if I'm in the wrong, I don't have a problem. It happens all the time. I form an opinion based on what I think is the best for the industry. If it turns out to be wrong, I'll go, cock that one up. I'm just about to change my view a little bit on that. And I don't have a problem with that,
Yeah, I know when the times I've had disagreements with people, and when I've heard their side or they've had I thought to myself, you know what, actually, yeah, you're right. I mean, one of my greatest people is Mark Pierpoint. I have some absolute ding-dong running remark, and the majority of the time I'm probably right, I have to say. Yeah. But, sometimes he'll have a chat to me and I turn and I go, yeah, you know what, you're right. But like I say, there's ways around things, and I think I'm quite a diplomat sometimes. I can get my own way, but doing it in a totally different way to Mark, etc.
And he's normally such a shy, sensitive soul as well.
Well, he won't go on one of these Zoom calls because he doesn't like. He's very good. Mark's brilliant if you can have a bit of time and settle down. The only problem is with social media sometimes it's so quick to get it out in the public domain. But no, if people have got issues, chat to you. You know, like I say, like you sometimes have upset certain people. Why don't they just talk to you? You know, why don't they say, "Oh, you're wrong here"? And I can imagine you've got a big enough backbone to go on these Zoom calls or do something and apologise and say, "You know what, I got that wrong. You know, I've done this, I've done that, and you know, this is what's right." But for some reason in this sport, we don't have people who's got a backbone to say this. You know, they do things in the dark and behind the scenes, and I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like people stabbing people in the back and different things. I like to get it out there and get it done.
I think there's a difference between sort of changing your morals and changing your opinion. And I think they're two entirely different things.
Yeah.
And if you can't change your opinion, it basically shows how weak you are, that you haven't got enough guts about you to go, do you know what, I'm prepared to change that view. Anyway, listen, Peter, I've kept you talking for ages. We've rabbited on a little bit, but thanks for your time. And maybe we can do this on a more regular basis, yeah?
Yeah, no problem at all. That's brilliant.